ceramic student. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a handle. For our first assignment of the quarter, we had a task to make a mug. I've got a mug here, and now I want to give you some options on what are different ways that we can make handles. You can do it as simply as you want. You can get as complicated as you want. You can take something as simple as a coil from the coil machine, and all of you have held a mug before. We've seen mugs, so you can take that coil, you can bend it into a C shape like so, take your needle tool, cut off a little bit of excess, and even something like that, as long as you have smoothed it out, you could then lay it on your project. You would take your needle tool, you would outline where it's gonna go, and then you would score and slip this coil onto the side. Now the point of this video is not really to focus on really simple handles like this. I want to show you how to pull a handle, which is a little more complicated, and then to give you a few other creative options. So if we're going to pull a handle, the first thing that we want to do is I recommend taking a little bit of extra clay, getting a board, making a little valley inside of there, and then taking your mug and laying it on its side. What this is going to do is it's going to make it easy for you to work with so that you don't have to worry about your handle falling off. It'll stand straight up. So once you have your mug like this, you can put that off to the side. What you will need is you're going to need a plastic bag, and you don't want to open it up. You want it nice and flat, and then you need a sponge that has a little bit of water in it, okay? You'll grab another piece of clay, and you're going to roll this piece of clay out into the shape of what I like to call just a carrot, a big, long Bugs Bunny style carrot. So the top part's a little bit thicker, the bottom part is a little bit thinner. We're gonna shape that down. This is gonna be more clay than we need, but it's nice to know that we have enough. I'm gonna take a little bit of that backside off, and now I've got this kind of triangle shape, icicle shape. I'm gonna lay it on my bag like this. I'm going to take my sponge in my right hand. I'm going to hold the back side of my carrot down, and with a little bit of pressure, I'm going to start to push and drag across. And what's happening now is the clay, with the help of the water, is starting to stretch out. It's getting thinner or more narrow, and it's doing so evenly, which is pretty hard to do without the help of the water and the sponge. This is kind of like a pull, what we've done on the wheel before. And now it's really your task as the artist to decide how long or how thin you want the handle to be. I can control the shape of what's happening here with the pressure of my fingers. If I push with 3 fingers, you'll see it'll start to make kind of two little ridges. If I push with 2 fingers, those ridges will go away. So as the artist, you can decide how you want the handle to look. Now it does look kind of funny. I know right now you're looking down at this and it looks kind of like a tongue. So we do have to clean it up a little bit. So I'm going to take my needle tool, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut excess off on the side like so, and I'm going to just pull that back. Okay, and then I'm going to cut some excess off on the other side, thinking about, well, how big do I want my handle to really be? And then I'm going to cut off the big chunk back here and peel that away. Now what that does is it leaves us this nice little even middle part. Now I'm going to pick that up slowly because I don't want to stress it out too much. And it should be pretty nice, pretty even. It's going to be pretty soft still. We just put a bunch of water in this. Now I don't need my bag anymore. I'll need my needle tool in a second. But now I've got this soft, evenly tapered down piece of clay. And so I'm going to take this, I'm going to bring my board back over, and I'm going to shape it actually on the board first. And this isn't going to be the perfect exact shape that I need, but I need it to dry a little bit. It's too soft right now to attach immediately. I'm going to attach it right now just for time's sake, but you'd want to let it sit for probably 10 minutes just to let it stiffen up a little. So now I can take my handle and I can think about where do I want it to sit and how do I want it to look. It's helpful to have it attach up here towards the top of the rim, towards the base here. You want to think about, how am I going to hold this? Am I going to hold it here with 2 fingers, with 3 fingers? I'm going to hold it with my whole hand. I'm going to do a little British thing with my pinky up, you know, whatever it might be. Now it is staying on the clay right now because the clay is fresh. I'm going to look at it from both sides, but it isn't attached yet. So I do have to do that scoring and slipping skill. So now I'm going to carve around the edges, mapping out where I want it to attach. I'm going to carefully remove the clay, and now I'm going to score and slip the top side, 2 directions, score and slip the bottom side in 2 directions, and I'm going to score and slip on the handle itself, and then I'm going to add water in between. If you do not score and slip on a handle, it will break off. It's really important to make sure that you're attaching it properly, because this is going to have a lot of stress on it. This is the only part that's holding the handle to the body. Okay, so I would let it sit like this. I could put a bag over it. I'd let it sit for probably till the next class period, and when I came back I could start to smooth it out. All right, so that's the basics of how to pull a handle and how to shape it and attach it. Now a couple of other things you can do. I've seen kids do all sorts of different things when they're making handles. I've seen sculptural handles. I've seen like a dragon and the tail was the handle. But a couple of other just things you maybe haven't thought of. If I take 3 smaller coils like so that I made before, and I pinch them together here at the end, I can take this, as long as it's really kind of nice and fresh and soft clay, I could take this and I could start to braid my, there we go. Took me a second to get in the zone there. I could braid my clay together, pinch it on the other end, makes kind of like a chain look. Now this is not really stuck together very well. It's only staying because it's fresh clay. So one thing I can do is I can take a bag and I can take my braided or twisted coil and I can give it a little whack on a bag like this, and then I can pick it up, and now one side is nice and flat, and now I can smooth out that back side. Because they're made of coils, we have to follow the same rules. Coils have to be connected on one side, and then if I cut off whatever excess I didn't need, now all of a sudden I have a braided handle. That can be pretty cool. Or another option, something that maybe you haven't thought of, I could hand roll a bigger coil like this, and I could use the flat side of the table. I could rotate it a quarter of clay, and I could keep giving it a good tap. And what happens when I do this is the rounded coil that was a cylinder starts to become a long rectangle. And maybe you want a rectangular handle for some reason. Maybe that could be interesting for your project. And then I could also take this rectangular shape, I'm gonna give it just a couple more taps, and if I compress it and twist it, I can put a spiral inside of that, and then maybe that would be interesting for my design. So it's up to you. You know, you can be as creative or as simple as you like. The main thing is making sure that it's attached properly, and then once it's attached, we need to make sure that we're smoothing it out all the way.